Hello, my name is Biljana Vozarević, and today I'm going to tell you about a few of my experiences with song and dance with Mohanji, which I haven't told before, nor have I written about it. I found it very important to share this here for the first time on Mohanji fans page. Although we are not, let's say, fans, but connected deeply with Mohanji's consciousness, and because we are connected through love and through heart, this is where we can really express ourselves in the best possible ways, freely, without any restrictions, without any bindings, like small children do, or like animals do, without any suppression. So whichever ways on our heart we can express it. So I appreciate the team who created this, and I'm going to help as much as I can as well. Today I would like to start with my experience with Mohanji was in Serbia. It was in 2012, and it was November 2012 actually, when I was organizing the first ever retreat in Brnik, and we also had several activities before and after that weekend. Devi had a child at that time, like a few months. Mila was a few months old, so she couldn't arrive in Serbia. So at that time I was the only person who was going around helping everything, assisting and organizing. He was staying with his mother and father-in-law, and actually while we were once driving in the town and driving back from town, from Novi Sad center, where we were going shopping for some things, everyday earthly things necessary, right? Then one tune was coming out of the radio. Actually, along the way in the car, it was like a spontaneous satsang with Mohanji and me. I was asking him, how is that teenagers, for example, really pay much attention to their beloved when they fall in love, including me when I was a teenager. They really focus all the meaning, all the purpose of life into that object of their love. So how is it then? Because if first love cannot survive, which is usually the case, it is beautiful, but it has another person, right, to work something in our to do something in our system to make us mature. But it's usually not sustainable. So how is it when it ends possible that, you know, teenagers, for example, do not lose their stability? Then he gave me a clear explanation how we need to nurture children from the young age about it, and really to nurture them what the highest value is, the divine will and divine energy. Divine love is the flow which never ends and never stops. It continues all the time, and when we are firmly established in that, when we stabilize in that love, then we can add other loves, terrestrial relationships, all kinds of relationships, and make them better and better, make them more long-lasting, really, because they are established in something permanent, and then we build all else impermanent onto it. I was also talking about other things. He mentioned that he's here to unite all the paths that are there actually. We have a lot of divisions, we have a lot of splits, all kinds of comparisons, which path is better, which is worse, but it's actually all one. One is the highest consciousness, and we are all humankind, human beings, and as he usually says, we are like beings of the earth. There is no division, separation, or difference in the eyes of, let's say, the highest consciousness. There's no difference between these children and animals and people. And along the way, what happened was some tune which I recognize as one of my favorite pieces of music, and that was the last dance song from the film Flashdance. I could just felt how my heart started dancing, and then, but it was all silently, you know. I just recognized the music. Oh, look at this! I'm sitting next to Mohanji, you know, happy, driving him home, and then my, you know, favorite piece of music appears. Who orchestrated all that? You know, that was just grace. And then, not only that, you know, that was, my heart was like playing. Suddenly, Mohanji started dancing. So I was looking at, you know, this is not dance. You know, how can you dance in the car? But this is just small movements and with fingers tapping on the thighs and a bit shoulders, etc. So I was looking, what is happening? How is it possible that Mohanji is enjoying this song as much as I do? So I said impossible, especially because he's from India, and this is not a song which is played there every time, and this is an old song. You imagine it is from a Flashdance film which is in 1983. It was made then. It was made in the USA. It of course earned a lot of awards for actress, for editing, etc. But I don't know whether it's, you know, famous over there. Especially, why would Mohanji bother about any song like this? You know, it's for dancing, and he's not usually a dancer. He doesn't dance. You know, even if there is the most beautiful music he enjoys, his heart enjoys, but he wouldn't stand up and dance. I can confirm that people close to him. So this final dance, What a Feeling, if you remember the song, it's What a Feeling. And the jazz dancer, a teenager from that film, Alex Owens, was dancing. She was struggling with several jobs and payments, etc. But she was really, really persistent in training and persistent in her dancing lessons, dancing sessions. And in that last dance, she put all the passion, all the dance, all the, you know, heart, you know, strength and power that she had into it, all the skills that she learned that far, endurance, overcoming her pains and pleasures and suffering, everything that was, you know, accumulated in her life in that song. So this was What a Feeling dance. And the music is composed by Giorgio Moroder, just to mention, if you want to find it. And then I was really, really thinking, oh, this is a good food for thought. How is it possible, you know, that Mohanji is dancing? Then actually, this has an explanation. That Mohanji is actually a mirror. He's totally empty. So if he's, you know, sitting in front of you, he will reflect you. He will not, you know, project himself into you. So that's why when he was sitting next to me, he was just mirroring myself. When my heart was dancing with that music, his heart was reflecting what was happening in my system, in my body, mind, intellect, ego, and then he was mirroring that to me. So imagine how it is possible. I had never believed before that such thing is possible. You know, how can a person be a mirror to you? You know, I thought there is always some personality, some, you know, mindset, mind style, mind map, everything related to the mind, and then that person projects that to you, gives you advice, gives you, you know, tips, gives you philosophy, gives you everything like that, something from the outside. In Mohanji's case, this was not the case. So as he was completely empty, all my impressions and expressions and let's say likes and dislikes were reflecting, and he was mirroring that to me. Another situation, apart from this dance romance, as I said, Flashdance from 1983, there was another song. The situation was also here in Novi Sad when we had a team gathering, informal team gathering where volunteers met Mohanji, and we were talking casually, enjoyed this time together. It was a few years ago, a few years later than that what I was talking about in 2012, so this was probably some kind of 2015, 16, I'm not so sure, maybe 17. And then we were also listening to music. We were asked Mohanji, okay, Mohanji, which music would you like? Because we know he likes certain tunes and sacred tunes, even bhajans from certain people, various songs in Sanskrit, and then Hanuman Chalisa, and there are various types of music like that, which are sacred, which are elevating. But on the other hand, you know, out of these terrestrial groups, which all of us know, can you find anything that you may like? And he immediately said Beatles. So the Beatles is the group which he really, really likes and appreciates. And because this group has texts which survive the time, which have common general messages of love, all we need is love, that motto, and the songs are similar to that. So we were playing song by song by the Beatles. And apart then in that moment, of course he was working on us. Several of us were melting, and in that way, through connection, sometimes there were feelings from the inside as if something is bubbling, in the stomach. That was what happened to me, and also sometimes, maybe heat and cold throughout the body, and some kind of, I would say, feeling in the heart. It's not an ache, but strange feeling, as if I was having something between my the song started, I really melted. I didn't know that I was so, emotional. It was probably the effect of cleansing as well, but the music helped, and it was the song Across the Universe, where he's actually, the song is Nothing's Gonna Change My World. And in that moment, I also, expanded, let's say my heart opened. I was jumping out of joy, and from inside, I wasn't jumping really. And then I thought, wow, I haven't heard this song for a long time, actually. The first time I heard it was about, let's say, 20 years before that, let's say, or here and there from time to time. I wasn't really keen on just paying attention to it. But then when I heard it after such a long time, I said, oh, look at this song, my first love played it to me, and now we are enjoying it together with Mohanji. How is it possible? I was listening to this song, like when I was 18, and my, let's say, the boy that I loved very much played it to me by the phone, so it had several aspects of why I liked it. Not only that, but then when I listened to it, Mohanji also started singing that, nothing's gonna change my world, nothing's gonna change my world, nothing's gonna change my world, nothing's gonna change my world. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Oh, nothing's gonna change my world, nothing's gonna change my world. So actually it has elements of devotional song in it. Jaya Guru Deva, Om. Jaya Guru Deva Om. In that song, which is one of the most popular song of Beatles in the world. So can you imagine that? So this spiritual aspect of the Beatles surprised me really much. And then Mohanji was really connected to it as well. Nothing's gonna change my world. So simple a phrase. Of course, there are 2 verses in it, but I love this refrain the most. And Jaya Guru Deva Om. I consider it, you know, the best devotional song ever, as far as I know. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. And one more thing, how does it happen that such sacredness is involved in the group like the Beatles? We don't actually know. I was looking for it and looking for more information, and found on the internet that actually Babaji's picture is there on the cover photo of their album. You know, their album called Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So the Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the album where, among a lot of people, ordinary from everyday life on the earth, you can spot Babaji's photo, Babaji's image as well, which means like they are empowered from high above, from the highest possible consciousness, you know, from the much higher realms of consciousness, for the benefit of humankind, to sing, you know, through this group. But then this moment of feeling happiness listening to this same song really, really overwhelmed me. So apart from this, you know, if you maybe need more details, this is a song, you know, Across the Universe, which was written by John Lennon and then composed by Paul McCartney. There were various performers who sang it. The Beatles were the first one, and then Fiona Apple or Rufus Wainwright as well. There are probably several more. It depends who got the right to do it. After this, I can remember the third let's say situation in the retreat, where Mohanji allowed us to express ourselves through movement and dance. In the retreats, it often happens even before we got conscious dancing channeled, you know, channeled by them. Before that, in the retreats, we had certain parts, certain processes where he was working on us, cleansing our inner space while we were dancing, just without some self-conscious worry, because without worrying too much how we look, how we, you know, appear in front of the others. So there were several situations where we bound our you know, eyes, or without it, if we felt comfortable enough to dance in front of the others. And in the end of one retreat, there was just music played, and it happened to be let's say some more free, unstructured part of the retreat after the huge cleansing and huge processes were already over, and after the heat in the retreat was raised up through Mohanji's energy. Then we had certain tunes and played or danced along with them, but what happened is then I somehow couldn't join the group. Although I'm really keen on dancing, I've been dancer for all my life, and especially since young age. When I was, let's say, 5 or 4 years old, I know mother told me when we were somewhere in the, you know, in some hotel or at a beach or wherever we went for a holiday, she told me how I went out, you know, they were sitting at the table listening to the evening music, in the restaurant, and then I would went out and dance, and without caring about anyone or anything, just spontaneously dance. So this is something which is, let's say, in my blood. I don't know since when, but so I wasn't sure how did it happen that I couldn't dance in the group, and then Devi started conducting and calling everyone. I also didn't feel like joining. I felt bound by this. I don't know, something happened in me. Like I was feeling, look, I don't like this too orchestrated invitation. So let's dance, and now we everybody dance. It probably had some rooted impressions in my subconscious. I don't know. Something in my constitution, but I actually didn't feel like, and a lot of people joined and danced, and like 4 or 5 together in one line or in a group, in a circle, etc. So I said, okay, forget it. This is too binding for me. Okay, so I said I'm going to skip it. Then the next day, everything went on in the same rhythm, like morning yoga, breakfast, morning satsang. Then after that, Mohanji turned on. He said, "Okay, move the chairs and turn on the music." And he turned on the best music, you know, the strongest, the most powerful, you know, music which you can imagine. I like this, you know, Shivatandava Stotram or something from this collection. There is one more, like Shiva dance, something like that. And then, so I say, oh, beautiful, look at this, how powerful music, super. But I also didn't feel like I was going to participate in that again. But what he did was, he invited me to just dance in the empty hall. You know, I was looking at everything, you know, what? How does it happen that I can just feel the music and dance where I have a lot of space without worrying that I'm going to hit someone? So can you imagine, I realized how he knew what was happening in me the day before. He knew everything, and my resistance and my struggle and my desire to dance and desire to express through movement. He knew every single, you know, vibration that was happening in me. And not only that he knew it, he orchestrated this part of the retreat so that he can, I don't know, help me overcome something, help me express something and release something, definitely, probably through that. So I started dancing and swirling and jumping, hipping and hopping, stretching my arms, raising above, waving, rotating. I just made movements that I did, you know, that I had done before, and some movements which I had never done before. I felt so much lightness and additional energy, as if I was not touching the floor at all. So I was like moving like a feather with my, you know, feet, and the tips of my feet, especially these cushions, when I was swirling and rotating, the concentration was there, the passion was there. So not only that, lightness was there, like feathers, and as if I was flying. There was also some additional extra energy there, you know. I was fit then, but let's say I danced as if I was 3 times, or let's say 5 times fitter than I really was. So I could never forget that way. Like I fell into some dancing trance. It was really ecstatic, and not only it was ecstatic for me, people around who watched that also felt that and saw that, and they felt that ecstatic dance as well. And I'm really happy that they enjoyed it. They say, "Oh, how is that possible? You dance like, you know, like nothing." So that was another part where Mohanji knew what was happening in, me inside. Something that I didn't tell anyone, something that I didn't express in any way, but he knew, because he is in our heart. And when he says, I am with you, he really means it. He really means it. And it is like really, really million times higher resolution. He sees you with million times higher resolution than you see yourself. That's what I realized. He sees me amazingly, from such a high perspective, from such deeply. So the more I try to penetrate deeper into myself, like through holograms, some new, pictures, some new areas are coming out, and there is even more to explore. There is such a depth in him, no limitations, no limitedness. And also, apart from that, I wanted also to add how then he inspired the creation of Himalayan School of Traditional Dance. In January, it started officially, and I invite you to like the page, Himalayan School of Traditional Dance. It is part actually of Himalayan school. We have Himalayan School of Traditional Yoga, Himalayan School of Traditional Languages, and now Himalayan School of Traditional Dance. And not only he blessed it then, he really has a big vision for it, and he supports it. But then he gave several beautiful quotes on dance. They are such deep, profound, such mature dancing quotes that you would even imagine that someone who doesn't dance could have created that. How can someone who doesn't dance say something beautiful like that? You can find it in his blessing that he gave recently. Really blessing for all the people who are in the team, who are part of the structure of Himalayan School of Traditional Dance, then to all the team who participate in it, who dance in it, who attend the classes and who will attend the classes. So he gave such a blessing that there is a realization happening to all of such people. I have become part of it through, let's say, coincidence. First by editing videos, and then Radha Subramanian offered me to start learning dancing as well. But what I wanted to point out is that how can a person think of such beautiful thoughts of dancing, mergence of dancer and dance, and dancing venue, movement, person, dancer and the danced. How can someone say something like that without even being a dancer? It's a miracle, a really miracle. Thank you, Mohanji, for that, really. It reminded me of Kama Sutra, how the author of Kama Sutra wrote this book, which happened to be practice of for sexual intercourse for elevating the consciousness, and it was written by Vatsyayana Malanaga, who hasn't even had sex ever. So he was a sannyasi, actually, a kind of person who is a realized master but didn't practice it. So can you imagine that he wrote Kama Sutra without even having any relationship, any woman, any sexual intercourse in his life? It reminded me of this Mohanji writing about dancing, where he's not a dancer, he doesn't dance himself. So only a really powerful spiritual master could do that. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Something related to dancing and related to music, the songs at the same time, empowered by Mohanji. Thank you for your attention, and see you soon again, hopefully. I hope you enjoyed it. Love you.